Today on DNVR Buffs Live, we get into part 2 of projected starters, and I have a bone to pick with Jake. Let's go,
Squad! Coming to you live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by the Front Range Toyota Stores. It's DNVR Buffs Live. It's Friday. Happy Friday.
It is Friday, and that leads me exactly to my bone to pick with you.
Got him.
Okay.
Projected starters day is just not a Friday vibes day. Everyone's gonna be all mad, walking out here with smoke coming out of their ears.
In my defense, someone else pushed me to do projected starters today.
Who?
I don't know. Who?
Pushed? I don't know if push is the right word. I mean,
You wanted to do it. I was
Angled?
down too.
Campaigned,
it was neither of those don't apply either. It was just an idea. You know what I'm saying?
suggested.
So that is.
We
have arrived
started
at the
talking
right
days,
word.
and I was like, well, we could do...
I was like, we could do Monday next week. We could do
No,
Tuesday
you were
next
like,
week.
we could do Friday.
And then I was like, we can do Monday next week, Tuesday next week for sure. I mean, I don't care. I think the squad.
Neither do I.
I think the squad gonna be happy. I think they're gonna be very pleased with.
Yeah, just
the
wait till we get to wide
improvement.
receivers.
I think they're gonna be greatly pleased with the improvements made to the Colorado football roster this offseason.
That is a good perspective to have going into this.
Yeah.
Think about who is
all it's ever been.
on there, not who isn't.
Exactly.
That's all it's ever been.
Exactly.
But yeah, we're going to do projected
Sorry, Jake,
starters.
should have picked that bone with Scott.
It's all good. I don't know. We're just doing our job. We're creating content today.
Love that.
I feel like it's the perfect time though too. Like this is the last show in May. You know, the last show before I think the summer really officially kicks off.
Yeah.
June 1st, right around the corner. And the next time, you know, we probably do it will be probably right before week 1. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like this is, and the last time we did it was obviously before the spring. A lot has changed since then. A lot of talent has been added to this roster since then. So I feel like personally, it's a perfect time for it.
It is a perfect time for it in that sense. I'm excited about this one. There's this one, and then the next one will be right
Yes.
Yes.
because we usually get the last one pretty darn right.
Yes.
I think this one might be pretty close to right too.
There'll be some upsets. There always is.
No doubt.
We're also going to talk about the commish. Commish Yormark actually spoke about playoff and all this SEC stuff going on.
Daddy, your bucks.
Your words, not mine. But he lived up to his
They're
name.
actually Shane's words. I'm just borrowing them.
He lived up to his name, though. 22 starters. Let's start on the defensive side of the ball. Let's get after it.
Get it.
Oh, that's a good one. Barbecue Elementary said from yesterday
Yeah.
doing number 5 face of the Big 12 should have been anonymous coach.
I agree. That's
That's
a hell of a-
hilarious.
Because anonymous coach is just always out there.
always in the news cycle.
Did we successfully bait anyone to complaining about Peggy being on there?
No, I don't think so. I
Dang it.
don't think
They don't know for real.
no, but it didn't catch on social, unfortunately. I thought it was going to create some havoc.
I think that just means that people mostly agree with us.
True. They know it's Coach Prime, Brent Yormark,
And
at the
everybody
top.
else. Yeah.
All right, we ready? Let's do it.
Henry Holes over there.
Shout out to Yaya. He made this dope graphic. We got the whole coaching staff on there. And then we're going to start.
Fire graphic.
Yeah, he went crazy. We're going to start with the front. Don't show it yet, Dion. But this was actually one of the more contentious areas of doing this.
Ooh,
I'd
the
say.
coaches. What an addition.
Somewhat.
At least for me.
Because there's a lot of depth.
Yes.
There's a lot of quality players up front here for Colorado. That guys who are returning, guys who have been added this offseason. I think we've said multiple times this offseason that defensive line is arguably the most talented / deepest position on this entire team. And I think we're about to see some evidence of that here.
So it's going to reveal all 4 of them. So go ahead. First one's pretty obvious.
Ooh.
Arden Walker is maybe the easiest starter besides like DJ McKinney and Jordan Seaton maybe to name.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would go quite that far, but he was the easiest for me of these 4.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with the way that his coaches have talked about him in a leadership role, as well as his talent on the field. Incredibly high IQ player at his position, which was really important in the zone read era of football. And like I mentioned, a leader, a player who's just gotten better during all of his time in college, and a guy that we're going to count on a lot this year.
Has been a plus player in the run game in a kind of reserved role the last 2 years. Now we really get to see, can he put it all together? Can he be a plus player in the run and pass game? Potentially lead this team in sacks. I'd say he's a favorite right now.
Definitely a good bet to lead this team in sacks. And you mentioned Arden kind of more in a reserve role last year. It's kind of crazy to think about the fact he only started 2 games last year.
Yep.
Because we look at him as somebody who obviously played a lot of football. I think he played in all 13 games, but only those 2 starts, but still was second on the team in sacks last year with 4.5. He was the Big 12's second highest ranked edge player in the entire conference according to Pro Football Focus. So that production that he put on display last year, I'm expecting quite a bit more with a full kind of gambit of opportunities and starts here ahead of him this fall. And like you mentioned, a good bet to lead this team in sacks. Amari is somebody who I'm just very high on. I think he broke out that Texas Tech game, and I think something kind of changed in him kind of mentally and how maybe even the coaching staff, defensive line coaches kind of viewed him. Otis is what's up?
Really quick, I just wanted to point out to the chat, the 3 of us all had 3 different combinations in the middle.
Yeah.
And that just shows you how many options Colorado has. And as Dave points out, these guys are going to rotate constantly.
Exactly.
And it's a beautiful luxury that Colorado has. So this could be the first lineup that they put out in week 1.
And they play 2 series and they're off the field.
Or 2 plays.
Yeah, sure.
And there's someone new in there. So, we had 3 different combinations here in the middle, but I love this one that we settled on.
For sure.
This is a good one.
I was just going to say, Otis, we talked about it, according to ESPN at least, the highest ranked transfer that Colorado added this offseason. Number 20th ranked overall amongst all the transfers this entire offseason, winter and spring. Top 20 transfer. And obviously he played a ton under Nick Saban, 2 seasons, 2022, 2023, for obviously dealing with some injuries last year before he redshirted at Alabama. But that's a big fella. A lot of pass breakups at the interior defensive line as well. So Otis and Tavian Coleman as well, I expect to really be involved quite a bit in the defensive line.
Chase said I don't think Otis starts right off the bat, and I think he does for a lot of reasons, but one is this. Who's the Bears' first-round pick?
This year?
Yep.
Colson Loveland.
You think he plays right away?
Yeah.
Who's the Broncos' first-round pick?
Jahdae Barron.
You think he plays right away?
Absolutely.
If there were draft picks in college football, Jaheim Otis was the Buffs' first-round pick.
100%.
And he's going to play right away, in my opinion, because they got him because they needed him.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about the depth here, but like they're expecting him to be a game-changing type player.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to put him on the field and give him a chance to do that.
He's shown those flashes too. Again, go to DNVR.com. I wrote a film room on him earlier in the offseason, and the guy's just got natural power. He's a mammoth of a human. He's huge, but he's got natural power. He can just walk linemen back into the backfield. As Scotty mentioned too, one of the things that really stood out to me, he just finds passing lanes and gets his big arms up in there. He gets a bunch of knockdowns. He affects the passing game in more ways than just rushing the passer. So he's going to be something that is going to be fun to watch this year. I had Anquin Barnes next to Jaheim Otis. And my thinking was just get the biggest guys out there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, 310 at least plus on both of those guys. We'll see if Anquin's slimmed down a little bit more and Jaheim's gotten bigger. But, man, Anquin Barnes has had some moments last year, and he didn't really put it all together in a lot of games. But when he was rolling, it looked really nice. If Jaheim can get rolling, I think those two would just create so many issues.
Yeah, Big Quinn is one of those guys where it's just like, wow, what would it look like if he took a step forward? Mm-hmm. And there's a chance that he is, the player that was recruited to Alabama, right?
Yep.
Just like Jaheim Otis. Mm-hmm. Highly, highly touted player at that level. And you saw flashes like you mentioned last year. He's the biggest guy they have, right?
Yeah.
Definitely on the defensive line. Yeah. So, you're losing Block Boley with that low center of gravity that was so valuable to stopping the run. Big Quinn going in there and, making his presence felt.
Just taking up 2 blockers.
Yes, would be really big.
Seemed like he was really coming around towards the end of the season, too. You mentioned this 6'5", 340 is what he's listed at. He had the interception, remember, in the bowl game against BYU. Big fella rumbling down the field a little bit. The depth in the interior defensive line, Gabriel Lightfoot as well.
Yep.
I'm Evan Zeman just mentioned it from Fresno State. He was the Mountain West most productive interior defensive lineman over the last 2 seasons at Fresno State, and he looked pretty good this spring as well. Another name that I know Jake is very high on, who we could factor into this edge room potentially.
Yeah.
Is your boy Quincy Wiggins.
Yes, sir.
Heard a lot about him last offseason when he came in from LSU. Obviously didn't play a lot this past year, only 20 defensive snaps, but earlier this spring, Coach Prime made it a point to say about Quincy Wiggins, quote, I see so much in him, and I feel like this is going to be his breakout season, his breakout summer. So cannot count out Quincy Wiggins, who quite literally looks like a created football player.
I think that you could run a package out there that has Arden Walker, Sam Okunlola, and Quincy Wiggins in it on a third down.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a luxury that you have with how big Quincy is.
Mm-hmm.
No
yeah,
doubt.
I mean, just run Jaheim at the 3 technique and then have those 3 guys around him for sure.
Yep. 2 more guys I want to mention before we move on quickly. Them young bulls, them 2 IMG freshmen, Alexander
Don't
McPherson.
forget about Christian Hudson, too.
London Merritt, can't forget about Christian Hudson as well. But on those 2 IMG freshmen, McPherson and Merritt, just don't forget about what Arden Walker said about them boys earlier this spring, where he said, they going to be ready. I promise you.
And didn't you have Tavian Coleman in yours?
I did.
Yep. So we've got to mention him.
For sure. I thought I might have briefly did. Maybe I didn't.
My bad.
Linebacker's pretty easy, pretty chalk. I mean, you got these guys early in the winter portal. It's a room that has a lot of questions, but I don't think there's a question in terms of the top 2 guys.
I still think people are sleeping on Kaidon Salter.
Okay.
I think that he has a chance to legitimately make noise.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, those 2 guys who are on the screen right there, French and Hughes, those 2 combined for 26.5 tackles for loss last season. And obviously French led all interior linebackers in tackles for loss with 17 of them things last year. I think those will probably be the 2 guys who get the first crack. I think Kaidon Salter would be involved. I think our guy Jeremiah Brown will be involved as well. But how about our guy Reggie Hughes this season getting an opportunity to play against his old coach too? He's going to see Rich Rod down in West Virginia.
I didn't even think about that
this year. So that'll be a cool little revenge factor type game for Reggie.
Yeah, pretty basic there. You got.
I'll just say on these guys, they really need one of them to be a star.
Yes.
Yep.
And I think both of them are absolutely capable of it. But one of them kind of has to take on that NHG role and just be the guy that everyone can count on week in and week out.
And potentially we maybe see some Montrez Walker, the true freshman, if he kind of can quickly develop and get a feel of the system. We might see him on the field at some points as well this year.
No doubt. We'll get some answers, I'm sure, obviously, in week 1 and all that, but this is a room that's going to be a storyline for the season, really. I mean, can Montrez emerge as a starter at some point as a young guy? I mean, that would help solidify the position.
Facts.
and bring some stability as well.
I said it a couple weeks ago, but if Colorado would have just been able to land one Harrison Taggart, I feel like a lot of people would be looking at this entire haul completely different. And maybe this entire defense completely different, but he's elsewhere.
Let's take our first break, and then we'll wrap up defense on the other side. Shout out to our friends over at Monarch Money. Managing money can be a headache, man. Lots of stuff to keep track of, bills, stuff that, you're just buying to buy, food, all that stuff, groceries. Monarch Money is basically your personal CFO. They give you the full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing your money. It's super dope, though. It just breaks everything down, makes it super easy to see and consume. It was named the Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025 and is the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 five-star reviews. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code DNVR at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code DNVR. Go save you some money, man.
Also, shout out to our friends over at UC Health. We are about 6 days away from the latest iteration of the UC Health Healthy Swings Charity Home Run Derby. And if you guys aren't familiar, it is a really, really cool event that UC Health has been putting on for 7 years now. I think I've been to almost every single one of them. And every year it's awesome. And it's fun to kind of watch some cross-sport action as the Broncos are out there trying to hit some home runs. And more importantly than anything is the beneficiary, which this year is Freedom Service Dogs. Freedom Service Dogs provide dogs to individuals with limited mobility, young adults with autism, veterans, and first responders to help with disabilities like PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, and more. Huge shout out to our friends over at UC Health for putting on this great event and for raising money for such great causes.
Shout out UC Health. Shout out Monarch Money. All right, let's wrap up the defense. Secondary, I feel like it's kind of, I don't think we had a single disagreement in the secondary.
We did. We had one.
did.
Then you have to tell me who. We'll start with the corners here. DJ McKinney, Preston Hodge. Oh, we did. Yes, you're right. RJ Johnson.
Yep. You had Tion Parks. We had RJ Johnson.
Yep.
Either one, I think, is a high ceiling player. Heck, Noah King. What if he makes noise and gets himself in there?
No doubt.
Highest rated player in Kansas State history or whatever.
He's our highest rated defensive commit since 2013.
Just let me telephone this. Let me play the telephone game here. Highest rated corner in college football history.
Wow, congrats, Noah.
Yes, I'm just going to keep making Kansas State's bag fumbling seem worse. Either way, though, going back to the graphic, these guys should have what it takes to be a shutdown secondary. And, man, going through this conference and honestly going through the entire college football landscape, it's just the opportunity is so vast this year. They're not going to have to face an elite quarterback, I don't think. 2 years ago, Jake, we saw Caleb Williams.
Every other week.
We saw DJU, which have your opinions on him. We saw
Bo Nix. Penix.
We saw Michael. I don't think we actually saw Michael Penix.
You guys played him in 22, right? Yeah.
But I'm talking 23.
Oh, in 23?
23.
Who else did we have that
But,
year?
like, that version of DJU would be a top quarterback in this conference this year.
Yeah, Cam Ward. We played
Cam Ward. It was an absolute gauntlet every single week, and even a good secondary would have struggled against some of those teams.
Yep.
This is a really good secondary that doesn't have to face elite quarterbacks. And I think that they have a chance to be a true shutdown secondary.
I mean, it's going to be different. You don't have the just best player on the field locking someone down every series now, but DJ McKinney is a really, really good player to build the secondary around. He's already getting that first-round buzz for 2026 draft at this point in time. I think he could have a great year, man. And then Preston Hodge, I mean, again, I don't think we talk enough about the impact of him coming back and how that just solidified, particularly that nickel spot and how important that is in Coach Livingston's defense. Yeah, I had Tion Parks. I just went with his experience and length, really. I mean, RJ Johnson's a big guy, too. But I just went with the older guy in Tayon Parks. He got his hands on a lot of footballs the last 2 seasons at
Illinois State.
Illinois State, thank you. But he's going to be a top 4, I think, cornerback, no matter what.
Yeah.
I think you will be. Real quickly on DJ McKinney, I tweeted this earlier this offseason, but I feel like his season last year really flew under the radar. He played the most defensive snaps on the team last year. His tackles, 62, was the most among Big 12 cornerbacks. His PBUs, 9, top 5 in the Big 12. And he had a pick in 3 the last 4 games. One of them he returned for a touchdown against his former team. Like, that was an elite finish to the season. And obviously the experience of playing opposite of Travis Hunter for most of the year is invaluable. I think the first-round buzz that he is receiving is warranted, and I think he's going to be a big reason why this secondary is elite once again. Preston Hodge, we talk about him quite a bit, is the stir that mixes the drink for them kind of defensively, especially in the secondary.
Straw
that stirs the drink.
That sounds more right. That sounds more right. But, yeah, I mean, he plays arguably the most difficult position on the defense at nickel corner, guarding other teams' slots and a lot of times other teams' best route runner. I gave the nod to R.J. Johnson partly because of the size that you mentioned, the 6'2", 200-pound frame. Him playing the most special team snaps on the team last year that I think kind of translates into earning trust from the coaching staff. And he just had a hell of a spring. And I guess the difference, I think, for me, in my mind, picking Johnson over Tayon Parks, is that we've seen R.J. Johnson, particularly this spring, go up against Amarian Miller and these elite receivers, even last year, and ball out, you know what I'm saying, and prove that he belongs and that he can clamp up these elite receivers that Colorado has. Obviously, we believe in Tayon Parks. He led the entire Missouri Valley Conference last year in pass breakups with 11 of them things. So I think that is the top 4 corners. And then Noah King is going to play into that as well, and Ivan Yates potentially, and Makari Vickers, who we haven't mentioned, who had heart surgery earlier this spring, but Kevin Mathis told us earlier this spring that he expects Makari to be back for fall camp. So cornerback room is solid looking.
It's an interesting question that the chat kind of brought up here. Let's just say a team came out in 22 personnel.
Okay.
Do you think Preston Hodge would stay on the field and just move outside?
No.
Okay.
I think you bring in Parks, King, RJ, whoever's not on the field.
Okay.
Or even another safety, honestly.
It's kind of an interesting thought of, like, they were basically saying, like, no way you take Preston off the field. He might place him outside too.
He could do that, yeah.
That's what I was asking. True. Yeah. Do you bump him outside?
Yeah, I think you would just bring on another safety, a third safety as opposed to a third cornerback.
And make him the second corner.
Preston,
yes.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's the cornerbacks. And then next up, safeties. Unchanged from the last time we did this. Tawfiq Bayard, who had a fantastic spring game.
Yes, he did.
Coming in basically with the stamp from Cam, being the next shark of that defense. And he looked like it in the spring game. He was all over the field.
Hell yeah.
Carter Stoutmeyer, big year for him. He's had his ups and downs for sure over the last 2 seasons, but you want to talk about big players in the secondary, this guy is going to be one of the first off the bus type of players, particularly for the secondary. And if he can, take up some of that Shiloh role, play a bit of an enforcer in that back end, along with Tawfiq's ball hawking ability, you got a duo back there, man.
I just find it so impressive that Carter was able to start 7 games last year at 2 different positions, 2 really, really completely different positions.
And he played in the slot
for Preston Hodge, and then
year.
obviously, played corner, and then the free safety kind of spot that Shiloh kind of played a lot last year. I mean, it just speaks to his versatility. And Coach Livingston talked this spring about wanting him to be able to lock in on one position, right? So he can, they can really get the best out of him. And hopefully it's that, kind of field safety spot that we saw Shiloh play mostly the last 2 seasons, because I think Tawfiq plays a lot like Cam did, and I feel like that would be a great kind of pair in that secondary to kind of follow in the footsteps of, Cam and Shiloh as well. So I like that duo a lot. And there's some depth behind them as well. They've obviously addressed that this offseason. Obviously, our guy Ben Fenesef, the YC, is still there in that room, the lone senior in that safety room, but adding John Slaughter from Tennessee, who played in 20-plus games, and Terrence Love from Auburn, who's played in 20-plus games.
That's some TJ Branch, too.
Quality depth in addition to the young bull, the freshman, as well.
I really like that depth.
Wayne says this is the first time we did it right.
Told y'all, bro. Told y'all the squad was gonna rock with this one.
Just wait. We still got wide receivers.
Yeah, let's not speak too soon.
So yeah, there's your defense.
If we can put that graphic up one more time of the full defense. The one name listed here on this screen who gives me the most belief in this defense being really good again. It's right there on the left side of our screen, right underneath Coach Prime's name, Robert Livingston.
Yep.
The best defensive coordinator for my money in the Big 12. One of the best coordinators in all of college football going into year 2. A lot of times that's where we see a unit kind of take a leap under a new coach is that second year.
Yep.
Robert Livingston gives me a lot of optimism and reason to believe that this defense is going to be really good again.
He's going to cook, man.
He is.
Just what he does. Him and Coach Mathis doing the red zone stuff.
Yeah.
You got Coach Sapp helping out with your front.
Pass rush coordinator.
I mean, geez, man. I don't know what else. I mean, someone's going to say a linebacker, but other than that, what else could you ask for?
Yeah. Adding Pecco to that defensive line room this offseason as well.
Yep.
This defense is going to be nasty.
One number. It's going to be a defensive-led team.
And I don't think they're playing that many good offenses.
Exactly.
Yep. All right, let's go on over to offense then. We'll start off in the trenches again. Left tackle, probably the easiest
on the team, yeah.
I mean, no questions asked. Jordan Seaton, one of the best left tackles in the entire country, and he's got another year after this season too. We compared him a lot to Kaidon Procter, who's playing at Alabama. He was a 5-star who was thrown into the fire right away. On the draft pod, we're already talking about Kaidon Procter as a top 5 pick for next year's draft. So Jordan Seaton's on that type of trajectory. It's crazy to think that he was only a freshman, and in theory, he's just going to be better this year, just full stop.
It's crazy to think about because he was really damn good last year. I mean, obviously, he started all 13 games, only allowed 3 sacks on 600-plus pass blocking snaps, and he was the highest-graded true freshman offensive tackle in terms of pass protection in all of college football, according to Pro Football Focus. It seemed like from week 2 on, he was as advertised as a 5-star recruit, a future first-round pick, and that is a position that you need to have a baller at, that left side of that offensive line, the blind side protector for your quarterback. But it's these other guys that, particularly at guard, that I think are the positions that are most improved on this entire team. Going from last year, the guard situation, to Xavier Hill, who started 26 straight games in the ACC, was a first-team All-AAC pick this year, and Zy Crisley, who started 30 games in the Big Ten, 28 of them at right guard, a 2-time All-Big Ten honorable mention. Those upgrades at guard are going to be massive. And obviously, Zaire McGill's played a lot of football as well. 27 career starts at Louisiana Tech. We'll see what Larry Johnson gives us at right tackle, but there's some depth behind him as well if he's not ready to go right away. But he was working with Tennessee's first-team offense this spring. So that offensive line, I think, is the most improved unit on this entire team.
This is a monstrous offensive line by college standards.
Yes.
Absolutely monstrous. You want to talk about first off the bus?
Yeah.
All 5 of them.
For real.
And what a long road it's been to get to a place like this. Going back to 2023 or even 2022.
Sure.
We were talking about Tank just because he was tall.
Yeah, Tank and Savion Washington.
Yeah, it was like, okay, at least we have some size here. You know?
At least we have some big pylons on the outside.
And then I don't know if most football fan bases are not accustomed to having a left tackle as good as Jordan Seaton.
Mm-hmm.
And the luxury that it is to have a player of that caliber, who, by the way, last year was drinking from a fire hose, trying to figure it out, going into pass protection on every damn play.
600-plus pass blocking snaps, bro.
Crazy.
That's
12.
insane, bro. It's like a career's worth. Is crazy how well he did last year.
Mm-hmm.
This year, now he's the guy. And Pat Shurmur and anyone else who has their hands on this offense is going to be able to scheme around the fact that you never have to worry about the left side.
That's the biggest thing. That's what helped him last year.
You can play one-on-one at left tackle on every single play, and however many else you need a block on the other side, the other 4 can be responsible for them.
Yeah, it was so easy to just go, Jordan, you got this guy. We're going to slide right. Shador, if you're going to drift anywhere, go left. And it worked. How many times did you see Shador do the Tony Romo backspin to the left? They knew what they had.
Yeah, and it's only getting better.
Yes.
It's only going to be more pronounced this year how much they're going to lean on Jordan Seaton in this offense.
And how about just leaning on him and that left side of the line in the run game as well?
Of course, that's where I was going to go after the break. Yeah,
just running right behind Jordan Seaton and Xavier Hill. Figure it out. I like that plan a lot.
Let's take our next break.
Pull Jordan Seaton.
Ooh-wee.
Let's hope we see someone pulling this year. You want to tell people about your Toyota?
Love my Toyota, man. Big weekend for the Toyota. Got a lot of things planned. And I just love the fact that I never have to worry about it. I never have to think, is my car going to be up to the challenge? Planning some mountain trips this summer. I used to, with my old car, be like, oh, geez. Hopefully it doesn't overheat. Hopefully there's no engine issues, whatever. Never, ever, ever feel that way with my Toyota. Especially in Colorado with all the different terrain that you're going to trek. You're going to want a Toyota, and any car as reliable as a Toyota will just give you so much peace of mind when it comes to some of these trips. So if you want to have to never worry about your car again, hit up our friends at a Front Range Toyota store, such as AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corbin Toyota and Boulder, Groove Toyota and Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of CU Athletics and the official vehicle of DNVR.
Shout out to our good friends, this squad over at Empire today, man. Your favorite team has a home court advantage, and your home also needs a home floor advantage. And Empire today is the place that you can get it. Why? Because Empire today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. If you want to upgrade your floor situation like we have here at the DNVR bar, I'm telling y'all, Empire today is the place to do it, because Empire today lives and breathes flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ball game at Empire today. With Empire today, you get clear, you get upfront and all-inclusive pricing, plus you can schedule installation as soon as the next day, because don't nobody like to wait. So schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. DNVR listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code DNVR. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount with code DNVR. Restrictions apply. Visit Empire today/DNVR for full details.
Someone made I don't know if they are actually meaning to make this point, but Keith talking about bubble screens. There's a reason why, well, there's several reasons why that bubble screen was so successful for them last year, though.
And they threw it a lot.
One of them is Jordan Seaton.
Very true. Get him out of space.
Get him up there.
Yes. You give the ball to Travis Hunter, that's great. And then you're going to get Jordan Seaton
moving
at full bore, bearing down on some secondary players.
Yep. And now you got 2 320-plus pound guards and a big center and potentially Larry Johnson throwing the fold.
Exactly.
I want to talk about the interior of the odd offensive line real quick, because, again, this has been the biggest issue for this team. It hasn't even really been the tackles. I mean, they've had decent tackles.
It's true.
The interior of this offensive line, I mean, it's just simple, I don't know, geometry. The fastest way to the ball is just straight ahead. If you've just got turnstiles basically at that interior offensive line, it makes everything so difficult. Now you got mammoths. I mean, you have 2 massive guards there. This is actually what Sean Payton did so well with the Saints when Drew Brees was setting records at New Orleans. They always invested in that guard, all 3 interiors actually. One, because Drew was so good at kind of just stepping up, manipulating the pocket. Now you got Kaidon Salter. I mean, if you give him that half second, he's just gone. He's taken off.
And he's replicated that with the Broncos.
Yeah, yes.
I remember we were interviewing Chris Sims when the Broncos got Sean Payton, and he had an iconic quote for the Broncos show where he said, Sean Payton's going to go get the biggest group of big MFers you've ever seen to come play offensive line for this team. And Ben Powers, Mike McGlinchey, Quinn Miners.
Hell yeah.
I mean, they have monsters on that offensive line, and that's what they've got here now.
Yep.
And a couple of people have mentioned stunts giving the offensive line real issues the last couple of years, particularly on the interior. And that is why the experience of Xavier Hill, again, who has started 26 straight games, and Zy Crisley, who has started 30 career games, the experience of those two guys who have seen a bunch of looping blitzes and stunts and, different variations of ways to put pressure on the quarterback. They have seen a lot of football over the last few years. And that is just going to help this entire offense move more efficiently as a unit.
No doubt. We'll see if Larry Johnson can hold it down at right tackle. I think that's probably the biggest question on the line going into camp. But
there's a lot of options there, though.
Of course.
Houston.
We'll see where Phil is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Unc told us, I think, before the spring that even before he was participating, he looked good. He was up moving around and walking, and I think even maybe jogging, running a little bit. He did start 9 straight games for Colorado last year. Did struggle a little bit with some sacks allowed, but played the 3rd most plays among offensive linemen for Colorado last year. Mana Taimani's Ole Miss transfer was in the mix this spring as well. Can't forget Carday Smith, the freshman. Andre Roy, who started 7 games for Maryland last year, played in 17 career games. So there are options, no doubt, at the tackle spot opposite of Jordan Seaton.
All right, let's go to the perimeter, go to skill. We'll start with tight end. We'll get to wide receiver. We'll talk about it. Tight end Zach Atkins. He had a tweet yesterday. He was actually someone made a list of top 10
breakout tight ends.
Yeah, breakout tight ends, and he just said all the work will show. And he showed a lot in that spring game. He can be a difference maker for this offense, even if he was really the only big addition in terms of the portal, because they haven't had a tight end the last 2 years at all.
Nope.
And when Pat Shurmur was in Denver, one of the first moves they made was drafting Noah Fant.
Yep.
I think that no, that was a little before he got there. But the point being, offensive coordinators love having a go-to tight end. And this quarterback, whoever it ends up being, is going to lean on Zach Atkins if he is as advertised, and all of the early reports are very good.
Love Zach. I think he's going to be one of the most important guys on offense for this team this year. The ability to line up as pretty much a 6th offensive lineman sometimes, the ability to flex out sometimes and run routes like a true receiver, and just give you versatility in terms of the personnel that you're consistently rolling out there on the field and keep defenses off balance is just a super invaluable thing that Zach Atkins brings to this offense. So I'm really, really excited for him, and that excitement was only increased when I saw his performance during the spring game.
Last thing on him, we've talked a lot about Coach Bartoloni and his recruiting chops this offseason.
Yeah, man.
Watch what Coach Bartoloni has done to this tight end room over the offseason.
Swear.
There's some reason to be excited about guys who we may have forgot who are on the team. Charlie Williams in particular. Remember that one. We'll see if Savell has made a jump. And then you got the young guys coming in. Zane D'Souza is going to be showing up for training camp.
Yep. Arrived this weekend.
Did he?
Yep.
There you go. And then a Corbin Lazier, coach was just glowing about him. And then, of course, Zach Atkins. So should be a much improved room.
Be a game changer if it is.
The chat actually is...
Chat it. I mean, wow. Maybe doing this on a Friday was... Maybe doing this on Friday was the move.
They was go rock with it, bro. I'm telling you.
So we got perimeter wide receivers, Joseph Williams, Omari Miller, and we put Draylon in the slot.
I mean, this is one of about 50 combinations of wide receivers that you can put out there that I would say wow to.
Yes.
But the idea of having Draylon Miller just be able to run wild against someone's slot corner, which, by the way, no one has Preston Hodges out there. And, some of those seam routes that Shador was able to hit with him last year, just going up and just letting him make a play on someone with their back turned because they're trying to run with Draylon Miller is just crazy, man. But we debated Sincere a lot. Another guy that we're super excited about.
Yeah.
Joseph Williams, he was dominant at the end of last season. And I think we're high on him too. You could have literally put all of the entire wide receiver room into a random generator, clicked it, and just put whatever it said out here, and I would have been happy.
Cool. 100%. Yeah, I had Sincere Brown in my projected starters alongside the Millers, Draylon and Omarion. What Sincere just did last year at Campbell, over 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns.
Wait, you had Sincere?
I had Sincere, yeah.
You said you had Sincere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then how is he not on there?
Because you said you wanted JoJo.
I just suggested, word of the day, that JoJo should be considered.
For sure. I mean,
but if it was 2-on-1, it would have been overruled. I think one of you guys didn't have him on there.
well, in my that I wrote today, I had
the thing I sent Yaya had Sincere in there for mine.
Yeah, same. The one thing that I sent.
I guess I have more pull than I know. Just a mere suggestion.
I mean, either way, it's not. We're not tripping. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
I love.
But I would have been happy with Sincere
for
out
sure.
there too.
I think everybody would, and that just kind of speaks to at least those top 5 guys. Sincere. I talked about it a little bit yesterday. Like in terms of who could potentially be the first Buff drafted in 2026. Like Sincere Brown has to be on this short list.
Sure, you can.
He obviously transferred here with 1 year of eligibility left. Like this is him. This is it for him at the college level. And obviously he's trying to parlay what was a really impressive 2024 season into one more season before he heads to the NFL. 6'5", 190, can run with the wind, is kind of elusive for a guy his size out in the open field as well. I just feel like his size and his ability it's going to make it hard for Coach Jason Phillips and even Pat Shurmur to keep him off the field. But the Millers are going to be on the field. Joseph Williams is going to play quite a bit.
Don't sleep on Isaiah Harge.
Yeah, Isaiah Harge is going to get some run in the slot. Like Jason Phillips said this offseason that he sees Isaiah as a guy who can replicate some of the production in the slot that we saw from Jimmy Horn and obviously LeJontay Wester last season as well. Jack Histera, who has the second most production from a receiving standpoint on this team right now. Coming in from the former Buff, coming in from Utah State last year, played really well at Charlotte the year before. He is going to be in the mix, believe it or not, as well. And obviously the freshman, Cam Michael, fastest
Do not
player
forget
on the
about
team.
Cam Michael. He's the one that always seems to kind of slide
true.
under the rug in this discussion. Do not forget about that kid, man.
Slide under the rug is a new one for me too.
Oh, I don't know.
Slip through the cracks.
Sure.
Like this receiving core is legitimately like 10 deep of like talented guys who could play just about anywhere.
No, dude, we did a whole draft
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, we drafted 5 each.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And left off probably 1 or 2.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we talk about that day too. Like, this is a receiver room where, like, I could see you could do platoon swaps, 4 off, 4 on, 3 on, 3 off. Like, that's how deep the room is.
You could create hockey lines with these guys.
Didn't
Yes,
even
you
mention
can.
Hakeem Williams, a former 5-star receiver with multiple years of eligibility.
There's probably another guy we haven't mentioned.
There
that's
probably
really good.
is.
Going back to Sincere, though, it's the speed for me.
Yeah.
That's why I have him in my lineup. I think if there's one thing that, in terms of your veteran wide receivers, that you don't have compared to last year, is the speed.
Right.
The speed of LeJontay, the speed of Travis and Jimmy. That was just, I mean, we're going to look back at that some time ago. That is just like, that's a legit track team they had out there some games.
Speeding Buffaloes.
So give me Sincere Brown to kind of keep up that speed element of this offense. And Draylen's really kind of worked more at that outside spot recently, but his skill set, just body type, his the way he's able to generate yak, that fits the slot in these like screens and how they run the RPOs and stuff too.
Out of the slot, and we watched it yesterday, and you mentioned it at the gate when we were talking about Draylen, but that touchdown that he caught against Kansas on that dime up the seam from Shador, like that's the vision for, I think, Draylen in the slot. And obviously you're gonna have demons outside of him, probably Omari and Sincere, JoJo, some other guys as well. And you mentioned speed. Terrell Timmons has been mentioned in the chat as well. He had a video come out yesterday before of him reportedly clocking a 4.3 in a 40-yard dash. Like, he is probably going to be in the mix as well as another senior receiver.
What a room.
What a room.
Absolutely.
I would love to be the quarterback,
No
whoever
doubt.
that ends up being. Being able to be protected by those dudes up front and be able to throw to those guys on the perimeter. Sheesh.
All right, let's go to the backfield. We decided on Michael Welsh at running back. And look, I'm buying DeKalen Taylor's stock,
Me too.
but I'm not selling my Micah stock. I'm not touching that.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way to put it. We all love Michael Welch up here. He was my projected starter pre-spring. Obviously, still very high on him. At this point, I think DeKalen Taylor is, at this point, my projected starter at running back. But all those guys are going to get reps. Welch, Obviously, the track hog, Kaidon Taylor, Dallin Hayden's going to get some reps. Charlie Offerdahl's going to get some reps. But, I think Kaidon Taylor, his big playability, his track speed, his ability to go 0 to 100 on the snap of a finger, and his ability to catch the football, I think makes Kaidon Taylor the most well-rounded running back in that room, at least at this point. So he would be my projected starter, but I'm not mad at all about Micah Welch. I think he's going to have a nice sophomore season.
To me, Micah is just the most well-rounded back of the group. And he dealt with some injuries last year, never really got a rhythm.
He was rolling before that injury, though,
Yep,
man.
exactly. He kind of saved the running game for a minute there.
Yeah.
If you remember, he hadn't played going into the Colorado State game. Comes out, first carry goes for like 26 yards or 19 yards or something.
Instantly brings life.
And it was just like, oh my God, okay, we can run the football. And I think it's easy to forget, but he had a lot of goal line touchdowns.
He did.
Where he was able to just like run that little zone read with Shador and punch it in.
Most rushing touchdowns on the team last year.
So, I feel like this might be the one that's getting the most pushback.
Absolutely, it is. Chat really wants Dallin Hayden.
What happened to the Micah love?
4.3 yards per carry last year as well, which is obviously pretty solid.
Yes, considering what they were working with.
In comparison to Dallin Hayden's 3.1 yards per attempt. That's quite a bit of difference. But yeah, it seemed like whenever Micah got opportunities, it was at least 4 yards. You know what I'm saying? There weren't many negative plays or getting stuck at the line of scrimmage. And obviously, like you mentioned as well, RK, the goal line work is where I think he can really carve out a role and be really important to this offense.
Chat, if you're campaigning for Dallin, tell us why in the chat, or tell us why not Micah.
Yeah. It feels there's more. I thought the pushback would be track hawk related, not Dallin related.
I agree. Look, Dallin's got a great skill set, obviously. He can kind of do everything as well. It's just the consistency with him, at least for me, at least. I need to see him pick his lanes better in the running game. I need to see him be, we saw a glimpse of it in the pass game at times last year.
Yeah.
With Marshall Faulk in the fold now, like he's got to be able to cash in on that because that's going to be, I think, his big ticket onto the field, especially with Trackhawk now on the team.
Yes.
Being like your de facto safety valve out of the backfield. Dallin's got to try and steal some of those touches. That's his pathway onto the field, I think.
Yep.
Experience, Stevie says.
Not that much of a gap there.
Yeah.
Dallin played quite a bit in 20.
Wouldn't you want fresher legs for the running back, though?
I don't know. I guess it's a good sign that there's debate here.
Sure.
Because this is one of the rooms where I think people really wanted to see a big-time addition. That didn't end up happening, and obviously there was a somewhat big-time exit in Isaiah Gustive. So I like the fact that there's still debate to be had here. I think that there's a path for Micah. I think that there's a path for Dallin. I think there's a path for Kaidon Taylor. So, Charlie Offerdahl is still going to be making noise for some carries. It's all going to come down to whether or not this offensive line can open holes.
Yes.
There is enough talent to have a productive running game in this running back room.
Yes.
And I just hope that one of them gets hot and keeps it going.
And a dual threat quarterback should help whoever's carrying the ball from a running back perspective as well. And I just can't wait to hear from Marshall Faulk again. The next time we hear from him, just to pick his brain about what he's seen this spring and what he's looking for as we head into the fall. I'm really excited for that.
Micah did not redshirt. RJ says, Jake, let me be honest. Our O-line sucked last year. I think Dallin is going to eat with a good O-line. That's fair. Scroll up. There was a few other ones. Please, Dion.
Dallin was also never quite the same after that high ankle sprain, which...
That was early, too.
It's a classic thing that happens to a running back. He injured it at the very end of the Nebraska game.
Right.
You are not going to... Any running position where running is the main part, you're not going to feel the same the way you cut, the way that you push off until after the season. So I do think Dallin deserves some benefit of the doubt in that regard.
Who will be the Buffs' leading rusher who isn't a running back this year?
Kaidon Salter.
Draylon.
I wanted to say excluding Kaidon.
Okay.
Draylon?
Are you going to say Cam?
I don't know. I was curious. Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think it's Draylon.
Draylon got 4 carries in the run game last year. Harge got 2. Can't forget about him.
Praying for Draylon Miller, Wildcat quarterback.
Yeah, man, that'd be sick.
Coach K says Micah gave up lanes in order to bounce too often, which we see with a lot of kids out of high school. Keep going down. Yeah. Rico said they think Hayden has the breakaway speed and Micah a bruiser, but no breakaway. And Cam says Micah is your bulldozer back. Hayden is more of your all-around back, and Track Hawk is your lightning. Sean says Welch runs sidelines instead of upfield. Watch the tape. That's just not how Micah's built, I don't think.
There's times where he bounced it. It's a classic thing that young running backs do because in high school they could just bounce it and take it to the house.
Yeah.
But I saw plenty of film of Micah putting his head down and getting what was there.
For sure.
Last position. D1 for camp, and we went with Kaidon Salter.
I think this is the one position where I was on my own.
Yeah.
Probably.
I still went with Juju, and I'll just quickly say the reason before I'll let you guys talk about Kaidon. We talk about like that seam ball to Draylon Miller. Mm-hmm. We talk about getting the ball up in the air for JoJo Williams and for Sincere Brown and all of this stuff, and there's no doubt in my mind that Kaidon can do it. There's just a different level of precision from Juju when it comes to that stuff. We talk, we were just talking about bubble screen, like the accuracy of the pass is first part of the bubble screen. You got to get that guy in the number so he can get moving. So I still think that there is a real chance for Juju to start because of his precision as a passer. That being said, I totally understand either way that the Buffs would go with this and the coaching staff goes with this. And obviously the potential of a Kaidon Salter running threat is a whole nother aspect of the offense that I know that they want to lean into.
Yeah.
In the end, I think that both quarterbacks are going to play a lot in the first 4 games.
Yeah, we'll see how that gets split. We'll see how the reps get split in camp too. It's all about the running game for me. That's what this season's all about. It's about proving you can run the football, honestly. Wins and losses aside, I think that's what this season is. The mission statement is for Coach Prime and the Buffs this season. And Caden's going to obviously help with that. And something that I asked earlier this week, and you asked it, or it was one of you two, what if Caden's just like that?
Yeah.
What if he's like that? What if we get 2023 Kaidon Salter at Liberty? You get a 1,000-yard rusher, you get a 3,000-yard passer. What do you throw? Like 30 to 7 interceptions, something like that?
Yeah.
What if that's the type of guy?
More than 6 interceptions in a season before.
There you go. What if that's the type of guy you get? You get at least 350 yards total offense out of him and 3 touchdowns every week.
It's a dark horse Heisman candidate.
That's exactly what that is.
Dark horse Heisman candidate. Colorado's winning the Big 12.
And he's the face of the Big 12.
Yeah, and he's one of the superstars coming out of the conference. I mean, that's the craziest thing of all of this. Because we've spent so much time debating who the quarterback will be, we haven't spent enough time thinking about how good both of them are.
Yeah. Right.
And how good this team is going to be if either of them reaches their potential this year.
No doubt. I mean, I've mentioned a couple of times over the last week or two, no returning FBS quarterback has accounted for more total touchdowns over the last 2 seasons than Kaidon Salter. 66 total touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. And something that Coach Prime has talked about this offseason when he was asked about the quarterbacks, what he was looking for in the Juju, and when he went to the portal for a quarterback, what he was looking for. He was looking for a winner. That's what Kaidon Salter has done as a college quarterback. As a starter, 21-5. That'll play. That'll play, especially at a place like Liberty. And obviously, he was ESPN's number 45 ranked transfer this offseason out of 100. Only 2 Buffs were in that top 100, him and Jaheim Otis. And Caden's just going to have a dynamic group of receivers to throw to. He's going to have a really massive offensive line to protect him. It's going to a lot fall on that guy, Pat Shurmur. The offensive coordinator, and what he's going to be able to do to keep this offense versatile, keep defenses on their toes, and consistently just give different looks, because Kaidon Salter is a quarterback who's going to allow you to be multiple with personnel and play calling and whatnot. So, like you mentioned, if we can recreate that 2023 form where he threw for 2,800 yards, ran for 1,000 more, and had 44 total touchdowns in one season, he will be a dark horse Heisman candidate, and Colorado will be competing for a playoff spot.
If he goes out and puts up 280 passing yards and 100 rushing yards against Georgia Tech, he's in the conversation for the Heisman immediately.
Absolutely. And you go and watch what he did at Liberty, right? Last year was rough. A lot of that was because of the skill at wide receiver.
Yes.
And what we just talked about with the skill at wide receiver on this team, if you just have 3 plays a game where wide receiver makes a play for you, bails you out.
And that's another thing I don't think we've talked about enough about, but it's been out there. Liberty had a lot of drops. Like
they did.
One of the most in college football last year.
Yep. And someone in the comment, I don't know if they were saying it directly to me or what, but they said, like, Kaidon can throw, book it. I have no doubt in that.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have the natural ability for precision the way that Juju or like Shador or Bo Nix has, like where it's just like that's their calling card. Putting the ball in the right spot is what makes them special. And I do think that the parallels between Shador's ability to do that and Juju's ability to do that will make this race more interesting. Kaidon is a true dual threat.
It's just a playmaker.
It's a whole other thing. Yeah, playmaker is a great way of putting it. And I'm curious how long, like, if it does go on for 4 weeks, let's say, where they're both getting action, you're going to have 2 separate offenses.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it'll be interesting. The other path is decide on your starting quarterback within a week of the start of fall camp.
Yeah.
And then you have one singular focus, and it's running that offense. I lean towards them going the kind of both quarterbacks thing early on in the season. But it'd be interesting to see how the coaching staff feels and what their philosophy is on that.
No doubt. I mean, it'd be massive if they got up big on Georgia Tech, Delaware, Wyoming early in the season. Game's over by the 4th quarter, and you don't even have to worry about, splitting reps or anything. You just give Juju a whole quarter just to see what he's got.
2 things I wanted to bring up. Just one thing, first thing about Juju and that ability that you're talking about, the natural ability to throw the football accurately and effortlessly. Corey Phillips pretty much tweeted about that the other day. I don't know if we read that on the show.
No, we didn't.
But Corey Phillips, director of recruiting for Colorado, tweets this out the blue with siren emoji. If you are, in all caps, if you are a future Sunday wide receiver in the 2026 class.
And you know who he's talking about.
And you want to play with a future top 10 pick, come play with Julian Lewis in Boulder. What I just watched for the last hour, God bless the kid with real ability. No need for cap. Check my track record. Ball in Boulder.
He may as well have added Sedarian Morgan.
For real, though. That's who he's talking to. But yeah, I mean, the talent is obvious.
Yeah. That God-given ability is what I thought. He was put on the earth to throw footballs.
He was.
The other thing you mentioned it a couple of minutes ago, Jake, where you were talking about there's arguably nothing more important this offseason than developing a run game and running the football. And I think that is particularly important for the future of this program, the recruiting of this program. Multiple offensive linemen, blue chip offensive linemen have told us or told people in the media that we are waiting to see what Colorado looks like this fall in the running game. We're waiting to see if they can run the football, develop a running game, develop an offensive line. That is something that high-level recruits who are going to impact the future potentially of this program are going to be looking for this offseason. And that's just a great point. And I think that's part of the reason why Kaidon might get another nod because it's important to get this running game going. And Kaidon is going to just help you do that more right away than Juju might.
Facts.
The stir that mixes the drink, baby.
Also, I wasn't far when I was talking about under the rug. I should have said swept under the rug.
Swept under the rug is kind of a different thing, though. That's like when you're trying to cover something up.
Yeah, but it's like I was like in that situation. It's like Cam's being covered up by all the other guys, like in this room. Like, that's what I was trying to say.
But swept under the rug is usually intentional. Slips through the cracks is an accident.
Either way, I was one word off on the figure of speech.
Sound like Allie.
There you go. That's projected starters. It's the latest one.
That was great.
Do we have time today, Dion?
Yeah.
Yep. Sweet. Do we want to talk about the commish?
Just real quickly put a cap on that. I feel like we killed that. And I feel like the chat,
course,
the chat was rocking with that one. That was a good projected.
I did not
depth there.
have Micah being the odd man out that the chat didn't like, but
I remember
we'll just see.
This time last year, people got pissed at me for that exact reason because I had Mike over Dallin. We're just running it back.
What really got people pissed is when we had Charlie right before the season, which was correct.
Yeah.
Was facts.
Okay. Commissioner
And
Yormark.
Trevor Woods, which was correct.
Also true.
Commissioner Yormark. They're having some, I don't even know what's going on right now. They
Spring business meetings for
something.
the Big 12. That's what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're watching on your television, head on over to thednvr.com. We're going to wrap up the show over there. Bonus Friday show. All right. He said a lot. We're going to start with basically he responded to Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, kind of just going crazy or whatever the last week. He said, we all have thick skin here. That's the real headline to take from that one. This one is about scheduling because, of course, it's about, that's basically your resume right there, scheduling, right? Who you schedule in non-conference, how many games you play in conference. This is more so relating to out-of-conference. Commissioner Yormark is happy with it, though. He says, we're fine. We love our out-of-conference schedule. We don't necessarily have an alliance with any particular conference. We play them all, which I like.
Respect.
And then last thing from him, he explained what he wants from the playoff, college football playoff format moving forward, and why he does not want 2 auto bids for the Big 12. The Big 10 and the SEC are pushing for this 4 + 4 + 2 + 2 + 1. So 4 spots each for the Big 10 and the SEC.
That's sickening, man.
And 2 spots for the ACC, 2 spots for the Big 12, 1 spot for G5. That's what SEC and the Big 10 want.
No.
What is the Big Ten doing here?
They're just trying to
Doing whatever the SEC doing.
Yeah,
They
I know,
think they in the
but
same
like
group.
SEC, leave your ugly friend
Yeah,
at
literally,
home, bro.
though.
Like,
Leave
I mean,
the
Big Ten has
SEC
won
is-
the Natty the last 2 years.
the SEC is getting 4 in every year. Tell you
Yeah.
right now.
Sure.
The Big Ten is not. The Big Ten has great teams, but they're a very top-heavy conference. And so
They just had Indiana go to a playoff.
yeah, that's a one-off thing, though. They don't deserve to. Indiana doesn't deserve to go every year.
And they didn't play any of the best teams in the Big Ten.
But
last
like
year.
that's just how it works, though. Like you just get a good shake in your schedule. You end up hitting on some transfers. You go undefeated until November.
I'm not saying that the Big Ten's never getting 4 in. They're just not getting 4 in every year.
Okay.
The SEC will. So the SEC should just stop worrying about the Big Ten.
Commissioner Yormark wants 5 + 11. He wants 5 AQs, 11 at-larges.
That's what it should be.
The way it should be.
Right.
And the reason why he said that, it's just fair, is what he said. He says the 5-11 might not be ideal for the conference, but it's good for college football, and it's what's fair. We don't want any gimmies. We want to earn it on the field. That was the direction of the key stakeholder group, the 80s and the coaches, and I feel very comfortable with that. I feel the same way, and I've been very outspoken about it. It's fair. It's what our fans want. They don't want an invitation. They want a true playoff system, and we have that right now. I'm so happy this guy's the commissioner.
Yeah, dude, everything he said made sense. Why? I don't understand why the SEC and Big Ten are looking for handouts. Just earn it, man. Like, you don't deserve an auto bid into the college football playoff unless you're putting a banner up in your stadium for winning the conference.
Facts.
Period.
Yep.
And guess what? If you were undefeated in conference play and you lost in the conference championship game and you're in one of those conference, you're still going.
Yep.
4 is crazy.
You know, I've been kind of cooking this take up in my mind. I don't think I'm all the way there yet, but I think I'm kind of over the selection committee.
Oh, God.
I'm not saying go back to the BCS, but like if we go to 5 + 11, what's the point of the committee other than actually picking the at-larges?
Give me
Honestly,
11, yeah.
But I mean, I get it, and I. This is why I say I'm not full on like go back to the BCS, because I do think that the human element needs to be involved. Like there is some context when it comes to setting rankings, like common opponents and stuff like that. That computers just don't take account.
Right.
Weather, like crazy, like a rain game, and you lose. Like there's all sorts of that stuff that's not taken into account, but. We're just going back to a way of making it so like set out and straightforward that it's just, I mean, we are kind of going back full circle in a way almost to the BCS.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. There is a lot of room for nuance, though, in the margins there. I think that's where we need the committee.
I agree. That's why I'm not like fully on board yet, but like I kind of see what people are talking about when they say let's just go back to the BCS.
I really hate this magnet we have to win-loss record. We need to much more heavily weigh strength of schedule. And
that's what the SEC wants. Because you saw what they said recently. They were talking about their regular season gauntlet.
Yep.
And they said no other conference has a regular season as grueling as the SEC's. And that's like part of
why
their reasoning for why they believe they deserve handouts, pretty much.
It shouldn't be that way, though. We should just be able to like understand that losing to a really, really good team is better than beating a bad team.
Right, yeah.
Sure. Absolutely.
Like going 10-2 in the SEC is more important or more impressive than going 12-0 in the Mountain West.
Of course.
By
a mile.
So much. By so much.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that one Cinderella team deserves a look. Maybe one more deserves a look. But we could eliminate all of these problems by just logically understanding that beating bad teams is worth nothing.
Facts.
This is what I'm trying to say, though. Like, you're talking about adding more strength to schedule, and like that's basically what the BCS was built on, type of thing. You know, like,
yeah.
I'm not saying like let's go. I'm not fully there. Again, I'm not fully there yet, but the way we're moving and the way that everything is shaking out, just with realignment, the new the House settlement, and all this stuff that's coming down, like let's just make it super straightforward. Honestly, like let's have some nuance involved in the rating, in the rankings on a week-to-week basis. To eventually pick the right teams, like so we can have these conversations and put in some context. But
like Master Stickwork says, just throw it in ChatGPT at the end of the season and see what they say. Have them seed it out.
That's advanced BCS.
Advanced BCS.
Maybe there's like a 3-prong or maybe a 2-prong system where it's like there's the computer ratings and then the human. And then there's like some tiebreaker or whatever.
Isn't that kind of how the BCS worked, though? They
did factor in.
They factored in one poll. I can't remember which poll it was that they factored in.
I don't want random journalists around the country having any influence on this.
Yeah,
but it's like, are the ADs and all these people and
the people on the committee, I think, are watching the games. I have to.
Last year, I don't know, man.
I have to believe in that, or else there's nothing we can do. Like,
were there really any snubs this year from the playoff? Like, I'm trying to think. Like, I'm genuinely.
Are you guys still upset about Alabama getting snubbed for Indiana?
I was never upset about Alabama not making it.
So then,
they lost to Vanderbilt.
They lost. Didn't Alabama have a big loss at the end of the season?
Oklahoma,
too?
right?
Michigan kicked their ass in the bowl game without a quarterback.
Didn't they lose to Oklahoma?
They did.
They lost. Yeah, they lost late in the season, and it was like if you won that, you would have been in.
Yeah, exactly right. That's why I was like, I never felt bad about Alabama. So that's why I was like, a lot of people. I don't know if there was like a big snub, last year. Like
Lane Kiffin would say his team.
Yeah, but. I'm not worried.
I'm just telling you what the snubs were last year.
I'm not saying that to you. I'm just saying, like, I'm not.
Didn't they lose 4 games?
I think so. I mean, yeah, they were easily out.
That's the thing is, like, yes, there's going to be some snubs here and there. You really don't have a gripe if you lost 4 football games that you didn't make it. And I get what I was just saying about the strength of schedule and losing to a good team, but there has to be I don't know. You could have, if you just won one more of those, you were in.
Sure.
I feel like low-key they got the right teams in last year. The biggest issue is with where they were seeded.
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm saying, and we've said this. Like, give it another year with how they did it last year. It was just the first year. Like, give it another year. Try to fix around the margins instead of just going to 16 teams or completely changing this playoff setup. Because I don't think it was too bad last year, but obviously there need to be some tweaks, and I feel like that's doable.
It's also hard to have a blanket statement on anything because there could be a 4-loss team in the SEC that lost to 4 teams in the playoff. But then I guess that says you can't beat playoff teams. So what's your gripe about being in?
Yeah.
No doubt.
Anything else? It's a good Friday show.
Very good.
Let's wrap it up. What do we got anything, Dion? Oh, that's it then.
No soups?
All right.
Smack that like button on the way out then. And while you're at it, make sure you become a DNVR
Yes, there's a sale
diehard.
going on.
We're running a sale right now as the summer is rapidly approaching. You get a free T-shirt that pretty much pays for your subscription to become a diehard. So discounts on all events, discounts at the DNVR bar. You get access to our Discord lounge, which our boy Jake is consistently in, dropping gems. And, of course, access to all of our premium ring content on the site. So if you aren't already, this is the perfect time to become a DNVR diehard. Go do that.
For sure. Yeah. That's the show. Another week goes by, nothing on the house settlement too, so we wait for next week for more changes in this college football world that is just ever changing. Never stops.
91 days till game day, boys.
Yeah, another week down. You tweeted out, was it 13 weeks?
Exactly, 13 weeks from tonight.
We'll get through it one at a time.
I got to get a lot of golf in.
Chat, thank you guys for hanging out. Appreciate y'all as always for kicking it with us this offseason.
Squad.
We'll be back for a full week on Monday. Let's go Buffs.
Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.